Hello, everyone. I can't believe it's almost June.
I know time in the off season has been really flying. I just feel like I need to stop and smell the roses a little.
Or whatever flowers May brought you. Another way to slow things down is to listen to our redux of Corks and Conversation with Catriona McPherson from season two.
Yes, it was such fun talking to her and she had I just love listening to her Scottish accent.
And she has a great sense of humor that comes through in her writing.
For sure, for sure. So sit down, sit back, maybe have a vase of flowers nearby and have a laugh with us.
Enjoy this redux of our Corks and Conversation with Catriona McPherson.
Last week, we featured her book Strangers at the Gate on our book club episode. And that was that haunting story set in a small town in Scotland. And it is a finalist for the 2020 Mary Higgins Clark Award.
And we are so excited to introduce this talented writer to our listeners if they have not been reading her up to this point. Catriona was born in Scotland and lived there until 2010 before immigrating to California, where she now lives on Patwin ancestral land.
Interesting.
A former academic linguist, she's now a full-time fiction writer, the multi-award winning and best-selling author of the Dandy Gilver detective stories. They are set in Scotland in the 1930s, as well as the Last-Ditch Mysteries, which are set in California. And she has a strand of contemporary standalone novels, including the Edgar finalist, The Day She Died, and Mary Higgins Clark finalists, The Child Garden, Quiet Neighbors, and Strangers at the Gate. Catriona, we are so happy you're available to talk with us today.
Oh, it's lovely to be here. It was great listening to that. I'm sitting here thinking, she sounds fantastic. It's hard to believe that that's me.
Absolutely. I know. We're excited to be talking to somebody with those credentials. So
I have been very lucky. I've sat in that room at the Edgars 3 times now with my I'm so happy for you face on. But to be nominated.
Well, yeah, that is an honor to be nominated. We can't even imagine. So that had to be fun.
Oh, yeah, it's lovely. It's very glamorous.
Yes.
It's not so much fun now. That there used to be a junior's cheesecake concession underneath the hotel in the Grand Central Station concourse. And I used to think, well, it doesn't matter what happens at the end of the night, I am going to be in my hotel bedroom, in my bed, with a big, massive chunk of cheesecake. But it's not there anymore. I think it's a Korean barbecue.
Oh.
So that...
That's a good plan. I'm going to have to remember that if I ever get nominated for something. So, from our count, you've published 26 books, both series and standalones, which we find amazing. And that makes us wonder, how do you decide what you're going to write next? Do you just have an impulse, or do you have a commitment, or what?
Yeah, more usually a commitment. And when I've got plenty time and the next contract deadline, the next couple of contract deadlines are a long way off, and I really do have a free choice, which just happened to me on Monday. So this is Wednesday. So it happened to me 2 days ago that I sat down and thought, what am I going to write? Which one am I going to write? And it doesn't matter. I could just have asked the person next to me at the coffee shop to pick a hand or say A or B. It doesn't matter, but I'm normally committed, and I know what I'm doing in my calendar, because I write 2 or 3 a year, so my calendar's quite tight. So there's normally no time for the muse and the vapors and all that.
The vapors.
I know, my husband's a scientist, and I used to be an academic, and then I gave it up. And he always said that he thought there would be a lot more kind of wafting around, and started wearing scarves tied to my wrist. And he said, no, you just go in your office at 9 o'clock in the morning and shut the door and start typing. It's a bit of a disappointment, really.
Oh, really? So do you keep yourself on a schedule like that? Do you, say, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to...
Yeah, I set my alarm for 6 a.m. To get up and get going.
Oh.
And it's kind of, it kind of annoys me because it's not, people who are Ernest Hemingway or someone who's hammered and chaotic and, tortured. Everyone seems to think that's much more creative. And there's something slightly embarrassing about having all your taxes done and starting work at 9 o'clock in the morning. But I said 26 books. I believe you. I haven't counted, but I believe you. So I'm not gonna worry about it.
Yeah, no. Well, we've talked to a lot of authors, and they all seem to say that is the best way to do it, because every day you're going to have creative ideas. It just might not be the most creative each day, but at least you can get some work done,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the days when I'm flying along and I just think I'm all that, and the days that I'm literally crying, I'm weeping into my keyboard. When I read what I wrote on those two different kinds of days, the writing doesn't show the difference.
Oh.
So if I was to just peel away from my desk because I felt that I couldn't, I would not have done writing that's perfectly okay. First draft, it needs work, but it's not calamitously bad.
Right.
I find.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay, speaking of first drafts, Catriona, I was searching you on YouTube, and I found a minute with Catriona. I think it was a Sisters in Crime interview. And you were talking about how you have kind of a rule that you don't discuss your first draft with anyone.
That's right. Oh, so you've seen that. It's a minute with.
I have.
And everyone manages to talk for a minute, and I talk for 2.5 minutes, and you think,
Yeah, I noticed that.
Professor, always a professor. A unit of talk is 50 minutes. So that was embarrassing. No, I don't. I don't. In fact, when I was saying to you, I had to decide what to start writing on Monday morning, and I've decided now, and I was thinking, please don't ask me, because then I'm going to sound like a diva and say, I can't possibly comment. No, I don't. I don't show it to anyone or discuss it with anyone, or even the publisher who's possibly already bought the book doesn't get to say, how dare you ask me questions, But then once it's finished, once the first draft's finished, I go, I stop that and take edits. I wouldn't say I take edits like a lamb, but I don't think I'm a complete nightmare for my editors.
So did you have a bad experience that taught you this rule, or has this just always been your rule?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that before. Yeah, why do I do that? I think the first time, I can cast my mind back that far, I think the first time it was that I wanted to put off the heartbreak of finding out that it was no good for as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then quite early on, so I started writing professionally writing in 2001, which was when Stephen King's memoir and manual on writing came out. And so it was probably while I was writing my first book that I read that book of his, and he says that. So that shored me up.
Oh.
And then one time I did talk about it, which would have been about 2005 or 2006. I was halfway through a first draft of the historical series, and my oldest, dearest friend, Catherine, we met when we were babies. Her husband had to have a heart operation in London, and so I still lived in Scotland, and we all went down to London together. She was there for him, and I was there for her. So we were having lunch before he went into hospital for this major, quite scary operation. And as you can imagine, the conversation wasn't really flowing. So I thought, I know, I'll talk to them about my book, because they're always asking me and I never tell them. And I did. And he had the operation and he was fine, and he's completely healthy now, but they never shut up about it for the rest of the year. They kept emailing me with ideas. And I thought,
oh no,
torture. I love you, but this is awful.
Oh, that's interesting. That's true. People always want to give input when you tell them. Yeah.
And they always use this one word when they give input. They always say, "Oh, and here's what happened. Somehow," And I go, I see that. You can't have that
Somehow.
word somehow. No, because my husband says, I've had a great idea for a story. There's this guy and he's working fixing a road, and then somehow, and he stops because he knows he's not allowed to use the word somehow.
Somehow is not part of your vocabulary.
No, it doesn't work for plotting. You can't have somehow.
No.
Wavy lines like Scooby-Doo.
That's awesome.
That would be fun, though, wouldn't it? Be like, just put in some wavy lines and then turn to the next chapter. Okay, that's how that happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have any other superstitions around writing? Like, do you okay, after writing so many words, I have to eat a candy bar or something?
Oh, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Fewer than I used to have. I used to only be able to write at my desk in my room, in my house, and then I really worked on cracking that so that I could write on planes and trains and in airports and in hotel rooms and coffee shops and wherever I was, because as life got busier, I mean, that's all very well when you're writing your first book or your second book before the first one comes out, but then when you're trying to promote as well, it's really handy to be able to just sit down and write wherever you are. So I haven't got that one anymore. I do like to have, I'm sitting at my desk right now, and I am looking at a pen tidy made of a brick, a red brick, with the holes in. It's got 6 holes that I washed up on a beach. And it's got 6 blue Bic crystals in it, and in the desk drawer that's open to help my old cat jump up onto my desk, there are another 2 packets of blue Bic crystal original pens. So I think I've probably got 26 identical blue Bic crystals. That's got to be superstition, right?
Right.
I'm thinking there's something there.
Right.
This is the same number of your books. So maybe one of them's
Ooh.
each from each book, like the president keeps them from the bills he writes or something.
Yeah. I'll have to watch
All right.
that and see if I have to get another one next time.
Yeah.
Because I don't even write with a pen.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, does she write by hand everything?
No. No.
Okay, so Catriona, now is about the time we ask our writers a question in a bottle. And they're kind of random questions that might come up at the bottom of a bottle if you were to finish one.
Okay, so let me draw the question here. Let's see. Okay. So this is, would you rather live in a tree house or a cave?
Oh, cave.
Oh.
Paging Dr. Freud, right? Because it's at the beach. Oh, I know why. Because it would be at the beach.
Oh.
A beach
Lovely.
cave,
Yeah.
in
Beach
Count of
cave.
Monte Cristo or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I was going Castaway, but props to you for going Count of Monte Cristo. Cave.
Okay,
right.
that's interesting.
All right. So, Catriona, I wanted to congratulate you on being the guest of honor at Sleuthfest later this month.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes. We're big fans of Sleuthfest because Cathi and I
We
met
are.
there. Yeah.
We did. We've both been a few times. Will this be your first Sleuthfest?
Yes. I've only ever
I
been
think
to Florida for BoucherCon in St. Pete. When was that? 2018. That was the one time. I've never been to Sleuthfest.
Oh.
It's really close to where I live, and I'm in South Florida. And, this time of year, the weather's wonderful and the beach is nice. So you'll have that going for you.
And it's the Atlantic. And it's
Yes.
so warm.
Yes.
Because it was a piece of nonsense. I moved from Scotland to California and had to stop swimming in the sea. Because where we lived on the Solway in Scotland, we got the Gulf Stream, and the sea was, not warm, but it wasn't dangerous.
Right.
Didn't kill you. But here, the Pacific up where we live in California, it's just ridiculous. So,
Well, I would have thought I would have thought Scotland was pretty chilly. I guess because I live in Florida, I would think that. But doesn't the Gulf Stream go up north before it hits Scotland, or no?
well, so the botanical gardens in Galloway, which is the bulge that sticks out of Scotland to the southwest on the way to Ireland. There are palm trees growing and banana trees and things that grow in the gardens there. It's a
I
very
think I saw
mild
like
climate.
a show on that on like 60 Minutes or something. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's a lovely bit of the world. I mean, it's
Oh.
not warm water.
Right.
In fact, the first time I swam in Hawaii, I was exhausted, and I thought, well, how do you know when to get out if it's not because you're freezing? Approaching hypothermia. Oh, I was so tired.
That's
Oh,
funny.
that is excellent.
Okay, so marketing is important and when we're selling books. We were just wondering how much time you have to spend on your promotional stuff, and do you notice a difference between when you were in Scotland and in the U.S.?
Yes, I think so, but I'm not sure what the difference is because I moved in 2010, just when the recession, the 2008 recession had a massive effect on publishing. So it's hard to say whether the difference was because things were a lot tighter when it got started because of the recession or because it's a different country. I certainly think that American people are less annoying. They're less kind of squeamish and less self-deprecating, but in that way that makes it hard to decipher whether someone's actually got a book to publish or not, So I think sometimes British people, what some British people would say is that American people are pushy, right? You must tell me. I don't know if you've heard that. But I've heard that.
Yes.
And I think, I don't know if it's just me or if it just seems more honest. Laura Lippman is very good on this topic where she says it's just more honest to say, I wrote a book and I am proud of it and I would love if you bought it, than to go, so I did a thing, and not so squeamish about it. So, but then I do have to, when I go back to Scotland in the summer, which I do every summer, I have to remind myself to just stop that no one's going to have any bookmarks, no one's going to have any swag. People are not going to do that. And they'll look at you oddly, if you do it. So, anyway, it wasn't the question. How much time? Well, it could be quite organised. If you go, keeping your website up to date and keeping a Facebook author page up to date and making sure you tweet some things every day wouldn't take much time, but then you just see something that looks interesting. Like that drama queen kitten. Did you see that dramatic kitten video?
No.
Was that today?
Well, just Google dramatic kitten.
Okay.
Hilarious. And then, then you're in the land of kitten videos. So I think you could get by on an hour a day when you're doing, not even an hour a day, maybe half an hour a day in writing time, and then lots of, like flying to Florida and spending 4 days doing nothing else, or going to Scotland and going to bookshops and things like that. So,
yeah.
Do you, when you're writing every day and you're on a 2 or 3 book year plan, do you have a page number or a word number that you try to get to every day?
Yeah, word number, 2,000 words a day.
Oh, wow.
For a first draft. So 2,000 words a day, 5 days a week. For a first draft takes between 8 and 10 weeks to write that first draft. It never works, ever.
I was going to say, are you that good? Every single day you make that.
It never works again. I'd think, oh no, again, it never works again. And then I thought, well, if it hasn't worked 15 times, then that's it working, right? It's aspirational, but it doesn't matter because
it's still a goal.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather stop and, if page proofs come in or if edit notes come in or if I have to do something else, I'd rather just stop and just do that for 2 or 3 solid days than try and do both things at once and split my attention. But in theory, and I never work, if I'm working after 10 o'clock at night, something's gone really wrong. And if I'm working at the weekend, something's gone really wrong.
Yeah,
I'm
a morning person.
It sounds like you have good boundaries.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I when I was like I said, when I was looking at your A Minute with Catriona on YouTube, I started seeing how involved you are with Sisters in Crime. You've been a past president, and you look like you're still really involved. The list of organizations that you're in is on your website, and you must think it's very important, especially for new writers, I would imagine, to get involved in those writing programs?
I think so, yeah. I mean, the list is long because I'm in both countries still, the CWA and Society of Authors in the UK, and then MWA and Sisters here. But certainly Sisters in Crime. I mean, they asked me to be the president really soon after I got here. I think it was, maybe I'd been here 2 or 3 years. I didn't know which way was up, and I couldn't work. I still don't know why they asked me. To be honest, I still don't quite understand what it was that I brought to the picnic. Because I remember saying to Laura Di Silverio when we were at Malice, and she was asking me, so Laura, I can't do that. The taxi driver driving me from Dulles Airport said, oh, that's the NIH. And I said, what's the NIH? You know, that's how much I don't know. I can't do this. I didn't listen, so I did it. And yeah, I did. I think they're both organisations are marvellous. But I would say for a beginning writer, Sisters in Crime. I mean, I think MWA as a professional organisation is fantastic. But I think for a beginning writer, Sisters in Crime is a good place to go. And the Guppies chapter, the online chapter, so it doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah, we're both involved in that too. We really like it as
yeah.
well. Yeah. All right. So we always ask our authors this question, and it appeases what we call our mysterious foodies, which are our listeners out there. And the question is, which of your characters would you like to share a meal with, and what would it be?
Oh, Gloria Harkness from the Child Garden, without a doubt. She is. So that was maybe 3 or 4 years ago I wrote that. She's, I'd like to share a meal with her. And it would be, if I was over there with her, it would be fish and chips and mushy peas out of a paper packet at a harbour with protected from seagulls. Scottish, like believable Scottish weather, but not actually raining into your chips. That would be good.
That would be the ideal. We even got the weather with that.
I'm a little bit later here on the East Coast, so it's close to my dinner time, so I can excuse the fact that my stomach started growling at that. I was like,
Catriona, if our listeners have any more questions about your work, or they want to reach out, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Oh, well, Twitter messages if they're on Twitter, or a Facebook message if they're on Facebook, or if they want to email, it's CatrionaMcPherson@gmail.com. Very straightforward.
Great.
Awesome. That's great.
And it's on my website as well. There's a contact page on my website, which is CatrionaMcPherson.com, and they can email me at that address.
Great. Thank you. And thanks again to our author, Catriona McPherson. And if I feel like I should say, like, how do you say your name? I want to hear you.
No, it's perfect. The thing that kind of gets me is when people say Catriona, and I think, oh God, it just sounds as bad. It sounds as weird as Juanita.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so listeners, if you haven't read her latest book, Strangers at the Gate, you need to go out and get it. It's a great read, and you can listen to our last episode for book club ideas to go along with it. And
this has been such a fun conversation, and good luck and have a blast at Sleuthfest. And now it's time for us to say cheers.
Cheers.
Slantivar.